Yo, what is up guys? Welcome to another video. So this video is going to be a little more spiritual than normal, a little more meta, alright? So if you're not into that, go ahead and click off this video, wait till the next fitness video or self-improvement video. Because yeah, if you don't have a basic level of understanding about some spiritual concepts, this video will probably be very confusing to you. But we're going to go for it anyway. So I've had some interesting responses to the recent content that I've been posting. So I went back to posting some of my old type of content, still posting this type of content on this channel, but I posted on my main channel, you know, showing off my new 40-day fasted physique to girls. I posted a video on my Instagram by the pool, you know, acting all cool, that more douchey type of content, engaging in activities that might be considered more egoic, right? And of course, I expected this response. People are like, wow, Connor, so spiritually enlightened. Or Connor, wow, acting real spiritual there. And so essentially these people are implying that my behavior isn't aligning with spirituality. And this idea that you have to behave in a certain way to be spiritual is a huge misconception, and it's actually holding a lot of people back. And it's actually ironic because you'll have these kind of fake spiritual people who are actually further away from spirituality because they're identifying with being spiritual. Does that make sense? So you have these people, probably like these people who are commenting, right? They think that they're spiritual because, you know, they gave up all their desires. Maybe they're celibate. Maybe they're vegan. Maybe they sit in nature and meditate for 8 hours a day, and they have this idea of spirituality in their mind and they're identified with it. And it's ironic because real spirituality is disidentifying yourself with any sort of thoughts, ideas, any sort of form in general, okay? So this idea that you have to behave in a certain way to be spiritual is holding a lot of people back, and it's just simply not true. So what is real spirituality? Well, what is the goal of spiritual practice in general? Well, it's to obtain this thing called enlightenment or awakening. I don't want to get too caught up in the wording because a lot of people have different definitions of each. But it's essentially realizing your true nature. It's not some belief, it's an actual experience that you can have where you realize that you are not your body, that you are not your mind, that there is no perceiver of reality, there's no observer of reality, there's only reality itself, and the you that you've thought that you were for your entire life simply does not exist. There is only consciousness itself and its contents, okay? And again, this can seem like some woo-woo meta idea, but it's a fact that you can actually experience. It's not some belief, it's not something that you read about and are like, oh, okay, I believe this. That is just holding you back further. It's something that you actually have to experience for yourself, okay? So that's what real spirituality is. It's the process of kind of achieving that insight, okay, and all the things that come with it. It really has little to do with what you do, your behavior, and you, by you, I mean the you that you think that you are right now, the character, okay? Because once you realize that you're essentially the universe itself, and I know it sounds kind of meta, you know, what the character does doesn't necessarily matter in terms of spirituality. The universe is just unfolding, okay? And it's not you, the character, who is spiritual, who has achieved the state of awakening. It's your true nature, right? The collective consciousness itself. There is no character to really awaken. There is really no character to be spiritual, if that makes sense. And I know, you know, reality is full of paradoxes, okay? If reality is infinite, if there wasn't paradoxes in reality, it wouldn't be infinite, right? But basically, so yeah, what you do has little to do with self-actualization, okay? So where does this idea come from that, oh, I need to sit up on a mountain all day and meditate for 8 hours a day, be vegan, give up all my money, live in poverty, that idea of the stereotypical intense spiritual person, where does that come from, and why could that be beneficial in any way? Well, essentially what happens if you give up all desires, if you give up all distractions, your ego has less power, okay? It's very difficult to self-actualize, to realize your true nature when you have this thing called the ego that is tricking you into thinking that you are some finite human being with a body and mind, and that's all that you are. Okay? So, you know, you are doing these egoic things like chasing women, chasing sex, and it strengthens the ego, right? If you don't get the girl, it questions your identity of yourself. You're searching for this validation. If you get the validation, you're happy. If you don't, you're sad, okay? Because you're identifying with being this ladies' man, maybe having this aesthetic physique, maybe having good game, you know, stuff like that, okay? So when you give up all those desires or worldly endeavors, there's much less to be distracted by, and you can more easily self-actualize and realize your true nature. Does that make sense? So basically getting to that place that you want to be, yes, you can get there faster if you go sit on a mountain all day and give up all your desires of the world. You have less distractions, and it's easier to self-inquiry, easier to meditate, and you will probably get there faster. And so that's where this idea comes from. But it's not necessarily necessary. The only negative thing about any of these behaviors in general is that they might lead to suffering because you identify with them. But these behaviors aren't inherently bad at all, okay? In reality itself, there's not really a positive and negative. Positive and negative are just a label that the mind throws at things. And remember, you are not the body and you are not the mind. So what this character does in reality itself, it doesn't really have an effect on how spiritual the character is. There's no you, there's no thing to actually awaken, right? You are consciousness itself, and consciousness itself is already awake. And again, I know that that's a huge woo-woo concept. But the point is that these things will only hold you back from your spiritual goals if you're identifying with them. So if I'm sitting by these girls at the pool and, you know, thinking, yeah, I'm the man, I am the man, that's who I am this guy, I am this human with this mind and body who has this aesthetic physique and who's getting these girls, and that's who I am. That's not good, because that will lead to suffering. Everything is impermanent, and eventually, no matter what, that will lead to suffering. Because one day, you know, maybe one of those girls doesn't give you that validation. Boom, you suffer. The only way to end suffering is to identify with nothing other than being itself. Okay? So, yes, if you are kind of lost in your spiritual path, it might be good to, you know, not do kind of these egoic things. Give up some pleasures, give up some desires. Sure. Again, I think that there's a balance to all of it. I don't think you have to go full monk mode to do it. But there definitely is a balance, and it will definitely help. It'll probably get you there faster to give up some, you know, egoic desires and behaviors. But if you've already been there, and again, I'm not saying I don't have work to do. Okay, I've had some incredible glimpses at self-actualization. I've been there. I haven't necessarily been able to hold on to it permanently. Okay, that's the end goal, being able to hold on to this incredible state permanently. So I still have some work to do, right? But I'm to the point where I fully recognize the tricks of the ego, and I don't identify with those tricks, with form, with desire. I don't identify with any of that stuff whatsoever. So if I'm hanging out with these girls and one, you know, doesn't give me the validation, I'm not searching for the validation, it doesn't affect my happiness whatsoever. I don't suffer. Okay, so essentially, yeah, there's nothing inherently wrong with it at all. And it doesn't hurt me whatsoever in engaging in these activities because I am not identified with them at all. I'm not identified with being some cool dude who picks up chicks, okay? And so if something questions that identity, I'm good. I don't suffer. And so a lot of people would probably be like, well, Connor, why do that? Why do that? Why don't you tune into your true nature? You know, why don't you go sit up on a mountain and meditate all day and try and get to this state permanently? You know, get to the enlightened state permanently. Well, man, you know, I think that life is all about balance. And also, you're assuming that I have a choice, right? I don't assume that I have a choice in any of this, okay? I feel kind of like just the universe is unfolding and I'm just kind of part of that. I don't necessarily feel like I have free will, and that's a whole other concept that would, you know, that there's a lot of other things along that route that we could talk about. But essentially, I think that there's a balance to everything, man. And, you know, I feel like this meat suit is just kind of this character, and I, as the universe, as consciousness itself, am experiencing myself kind of through this character. And what I do doesn't really necessarily matter. All experience is incredible, right? Once you kind of have these self-actualization moments, you stop really judging experience and thinking of it as positive or negative. It's simply just experience. And I'm kind of just the witness that's just kind of watching reality unfold. And so, you know, why don't I sit on a mountain all day and just meditate? Well, first of all, I mean, I'm having fun with this character, man. So me going out and hanging out with girls and, you know, making these YouTube videos, it's fun for me. Now there's a difference between identifying with it and simply having fun with it. So it's the difference between kind of thinking something is you and just treating it kind of like a video game character. Okay? So if you have this video game character, yeah, you want to go have fun in the video game. But if the video game character, you know, something doesn't work out right with it, okay? He fails to get to the next level, or his video game girlfriend dumps him, I don't know. It's not gonna like hurt you because it doesn't question who you are as a person. You realize that it's just a character. So there's not gonna be real suffering behind it. And that's kind of how I feel, right? So I can go have fun. I can go, you know, engage in these egoic behaviors, but I'm not attached to it. So when things don't go right, I don't suffer from it. And I think that there's actually a lot of benefit of me doing it, okay? Because first of all, how I got to this level of spiritual insight and happiness and peace and contentment it's all started out with fitness. It all started out with wanting to hop on the self-improvement train, okay? And I think that me doing these videos can inspire people to get into self-improvement. And while it might start out as kind of an egoic desire, I feel like for a lot of people it'll start to transform, and once they realize that doesn't bring happiness, they start out searching for, like, you know, this aesthetic physique, something very surface level. But then as they keep going along the self-improvement path, they start realizing that that's not gonna get them happy, and they start searching for happiness. And eventually you get to the point where you start getting into spirituality. And so I feel like these videos can really appeal to people on kind of lower levels of consciousness and kind of get them on the self-improvement path. Because what do these videos do? Well, they motivate people to get in shape. And what is getting in shape? Well, yeah, that's the beginning of the self-improvement process for a lot of people. And then for the other people who kind of are past that, who are at a higher level of consciousness and realize, you know, for the average person, if they went out and tried to pick up girls, the egoic nature behind this, they realize this, well, they realize it. And, you know, they can stick to watching the content, the more spiritual content on this channel to elevate their consciousness more, if that makes sense. So, you know, basically, in this life, I want to do as much as I can to help the world wake up, to become enlightened, to raise the vibration and consciousness of the world, and also but I also just want to experience it, right? I want to have fun. I want to experience form, okay? This cool human experience that we have. But the trick is you just don't identify with it. I feel like there's a reason that we're here. There's a reason that we have this human experience. And I feel like I have a lot to learn by engaging in the human experience and having fun and enjoying and actually just living life how, you know, normal humans live life. And I have a little cheat code to happiness by, you know, realizing that that I am not the human, that I'm not the body, that I'm not the mind. And it makes life a little more enjoyable. But yeah, I just don't, you know, I think that there's a balance to life, and I want to live life as fully as possible. And as long as I don't identify with these egoic behaviors or desires, I feel like it's totally cool, man. And in the process, I think that I can inspire a lot of people to get on the self-improvement path. And hopefully with videos like this, I can deepen, you know, people at a higher level of consciousness' spirituality. And so yeah, the bottom line is, me hanging out with girls by the pool and acting all cool is only negative to me if it causes suffering because I identify with it. If I don't, it's just experience. It's just living life. And it's, you know, experience in general is not necessarily positive or negative. It's just experience. And that's all it is. And so there's not this certain behavior that you have to be spiritual. Spirituality is all about self-actualization, self-realization. And what happens after that is essentially just the universe unfolding. That's pretty much it. So, can I be spiritual and be douchey? Yeah, for sure. You can be spiritual and act in any way that the universe is having you act. You know what I mean? It's just getting to that level in the first place and maintaining that level is a little bit simpler, right? If you don't have any of these distractions. You gotta be careful, even when you have glimpses and stuff, yeah, you gotta be a little careful when these egoic, you know, desires and stuff come in. You just have to be sure to recognize them as that and detach yourself from it, and then you're good. So yeah, bottom line, stay detached from form, from thought, from thinking that you are the body and that you are the mind, and behave and live life however the fuck you want to live life, dude. Don't have some fake spiritual person tell you, oh, you need to be this way to be spiritual. Yeah, fuck that. It's bullshit. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It has gotten darker since I've started filming this video. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope this gave you some nice insight. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.